Hey guys, welcome once again into the space, into the place. You know what it is, you know where you is. Yes, oh yes. It is the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, the place where possibilities become perspective. Guys, I am so excited about today's episode. Today I get to sit down with a dear brother that I met online. He is someone that I sincerely admire, respect, and I'm so excited about sharing him with you. He has made success, real success, extremely simple. And in our conversation today, he's going to share his life, his background, his amazing relationship with his family, and he's going to share some very simple yet powerful strategies for you to show up in your life in a more genuine, authentic, and a more present way. So if you're someone who's looking to be a better father, a better husband, better person in this world, if you want to show up for those that you love and care for in a more genuine and a more authentic way, if you're someone who just wants to do life with a greater level of gratitude and a greater awareness of what we can be thankful for, then today's episode is for you. He is a powerful example of what it is to be a man just on a mission to make this world, and I know it may sound cliche, but it's just real, to make this world a better place. I want to read his bio and then I want to get right into the conversation. His name is Michael Hulsey. Michael is a proud husband and father of 5 children and his 3 grandchildren. He currently resides in Montgomery, Texas, with his wife of 27 years. He started a shoe company and clothing line called Jacany Collection as a project with his children. He is the author of the book 30-Second Hug. Love that title, by the way. Michael loves to travel and has an affinity for art and architecture and is a car enthusiast. Without further delay, let's get right into my conversation with Michael Hulsey. Enjoy. Well, first off, Mike, man, I want to just thank you so much for just giving me and giving us a few moments of your time. Time is so precious. Life is so precious. And I'm just looking forward to hearing your heart. I've been watching you as you've been watching me on Facebook. And I think that's where we first got connected, and watching each other's content and kind of watching each other's journey and listening to each other's story. And there's a few things that I've noticed and I've been watching and admiring you for from afar that I want to get into. But I know that today's conversation, it kind of started from a conversation online around believing in oneself. I think you had posted to believe in yourself, and I commented on it, and I just thought it was a good moment, a good opportunity for us to just talk about this thing called belief and why it's so important and how do we get to the point where we can believe in ourselves. But before we get into any of that, man, why don't you just share just who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your family, a little bit about your background, just kind of bring us up to speed in terms of just who you are.
All right. Well, I just want to say, hey, I'm very grateful that our
Yeah.
paths crossed as they did, even through social media. I've never met you, never had dinner with you or anything, but I feel close. I feel close to you just by what you've shared online, comments, interactions, things like that. So I really do appreciate you, appreciate what you're doing. Um, a little bit about me. I live in Montgomery, Texas. So
Uh,
people think Montgomery, they think of Alabama, but I'm here in Texas, just North Houston. If people don't know where Montgomery, Texas is, have 5 children. One thing is they range from 35 years old to 8 years old. So I do
Wow.
have an 8 year old. She is a true blessing, keeps me young, and it was orchestrated by God, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
I do have three grandchildren. My oldest son lives in
Wow.
San Antonio. He has a son, 8 year, 9 years old now, and then my daughter. She has two boys, 9 and 5, and she is pregnant, so she's will
Oh, wow.
welcome another one in here. True blessing
Yeah.
for her, in August.
Congratulations, man.
So I'm happy for that. Yes, sir. And uh, younger when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of belief, because
Mhm,
all you heard was, you know, negative things. You can't do this, you can't do that.
mhm,
You're not worthy. You're not. You're worthless. That's kind of what was brought in, by adult figures and parents and things like that. But I know you wanted to know a little bit about myself. As far
mhm.
as work, I've done a little bit of everything. Right now, I do sales. So, so I'm in sales here. I've done multiple things. I was a catastrophe adjuster at one time, traveled a lot, done a little bit of insurance, did retail. I've been in the retail industry too as well, and had a little real estate here and there, my own. Authored a little book during the pandemic, just because we were sitting around doing nothing. So I had to get some things off my chest and out there to, help somebody if I could. And my kids and I, we put a little thing together, little shoe, little shoe thing together. So my daughter's name is Bethany. So I
Okay.
took the A-N-Y, and my son's name is Jacob. I took the Jac, and I made Jacany. So we put a little shoe game together, just playing around. Nothing. We're not trying to be Nike or anything, but um, just a little project, to do something as a family.
Mhm.
But that's pretty much all about me right there in a 30-second blurb there.
Yeah, man. No, it's really interesting, like, the number of things that you've done and the number of things that you're doing. You seem to be extremely family oriented. You seem to be extremely creative when it comes to the family structure. I know we've talked offline and you shared with me a little bit more about your story and your background, and I certainly want you to share that with the audience today. But what do you think makes you such a creative in the home? Like, sometimes we see artists who paint,
Mhm,
or you even spoke about writing a book, right? Writing is a form of art. Or we see musicians who play instruments or they sing and dance, and that's artistry. But as you were talking,
mhm,
what was coming to mind for me was, you have a heart, you have a mind, you have a creative way of connecting your family and being involved within the
mhm,
family. And that might be something that someone needs to hear or someone needs to better understand, because I don't know if we're very creative when it comes, domestically within our home. Can you share more around maybe where that came from,
mhm,
or
mhm.
why that's important to you, or where that inspiration comes from?
Yeah, I sure will, and thank you for asking,
Yeah.
making it easy for me. So,
Mhm.
I would say, when I was younger, I didn't really have that father figure in my life.
Mm.
And I really, I was going to go into the military. My brother, he went into the military. He did 26 years. He retired, and I was going in. I wanted to go in. I met with the recruiters, and then I found out that the lady, I wasn't married, but the lady I was with, she was pregnant, and my son would be coming right there when I was going to be in basic training. So I pulled out because I didn't have that father figure. And I told myself, I'm not going to be an absentee dad. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be involved. And they told me, they said, "Well, if you don't go now, you'll never go." And he was right, because they know the statistics. I just told them,
Right.
after my son's born, then we'll reevaluate it.
Mhm.
And I didn't go in, and I don't regret it. I was there for my son,
Mhm.
and that was the main thing. I wanted to be a good father because I didn't have that. I didn't have that father figure in my life. And I made a vow. I promised to myself that I'm going to be the best,
Mhm.
the greatest father that I could be. And
Yeah.
and we do the best we can. We fail. We fail, but we do the best that we can. And that's really where I got that, and the creativity and everything. I find things to do with my kids. We go out of our way to really to really dote on them, really tell them that we love them, tell them that we're
Mhm.
proud of them, tell them that they do matter, they do mean a lot to us. And we say, oh, we would die for them, we'd die for our child. But then
Mhm.
when they want to play ball or something, we're like, oh, we don't have time. How can we say that we would just give our life up for them, but we don't have 5 minutes to throw the ball around, play basketball? My daughter, she wants to play basketball. She's terrible, but we get out there and we try to hoop it up a little bit. She wants to learn how to skate, and I'm just worried, but you got to let them try it, you know. I tell her, "Hey, you're great at basketball. Let's go play." You wanna. She wanted to run. I do a little exercise in the morning, and she wanted to run. And I told her, "No, let me just run." And I was thinking, it's right after Father's Day. We went through
Mhm.
Father's Day, a really, really awesome day for dads,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "Dad, just let me." I said, "Well, take your scooter." And she's like, "No, Dad, I want to run." Okay. So I said, "Let's go." And we started running, and we made it around the block. And she's like, "Dad, you're right. Maybe I'll just stop back at the house." And I told her, and I said, "I'm very proud of you for
Mhm.
persevering, for wanting to do it, and being there." Cause my son, he rode the bike. He was riding the bike. And I said, "Hey, if at some point she wants to come back, bring her back to the house."
Yeah.
And she was very adamant to go. And I'm glad that I didn't say, "No, I just want to get my run over." No, it meant a lot to her, and so it meant a lot to me. So I we did that. We did point four eight.
All
Point
right.
four eight of a mile. And I told her stats. I said, "You were doing about a 13-minute mile. That's really great for your age. You're 8 years old." There's a program called Girls on the Run, and they can
Mm.
start it at third grade.
Okay.
So she's gonna look into that, so she can run with me a little bit more. So I'm really happy that she wanted to do that. But so often, we deter our kids from doing something because maybe it's going to inconvenience us, and that's the thing. Like this morning,
Mhm.
she wanted French toast. She loves French toast, and where I got the French toast from was my grandmother. And every time I make French toast, it reminds me of my grandmother. So I make
Oh,
it often. I love it.
yes.
And we get the thick bread, and I put the powdered sugar. I put the cinnamon on there, and the good syrup, and we go all
Yes.
out with that. But it's we love doing that. But
Mhm.
one thing is, we don't want to deter our kids from doing whatever they want, because we might. I mean, I know that she's not going to be an all-star basketball player, or is she?
Mhm.
So we'll foster that. And then if she wants to play soccer, we'll do soccer. She wants to do gymnastics or ballet, we'll move around and we'll navigate wherever she
Mhm.
wants to be, because she's 8 years old. So
Wow.
we didn't know what we wanted to do at 8.
Nope. Nope. Wow, man. That is so powerful, man. That is so powerful. The idea that we often profess with our mouths, we will die for our children. And I guess we believe that, but it was so powerful what you said. But yet we will not find time to do the things that they want to do. We don't find time to do the things that will inconvenience us. But what would be
Yes.
more Like how can you imagine anything more inconvenient than dying? But
Yes.
the simple things we won't do. Wh- Okay, I'm going to ask you to share what you share with me about your father because I think that's important for us to hear and to understand. But before you do that, where did that example come from? Or where did the seed get sown in you? I don't think a man just shows up in the world and runs with his daughter and literally takes time to say, we ran point 0.4 and you were on a 13-minute mile track. And this is, I mean, that's details. That's intention. That's presence. That's value and care and showing up for your child. I mean, at least I don't believe that it happens just by chance or it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Can you share, did someone say something to you at some point? Did someone instill something in you? Did you read a book? Was there a principle that you came across? What do you think contributes to you showing up in that way? Because many times we can be as fathers physically present in the home. But what I'm hearing from you is you're not only physically present, but you're emotionally available. And I think that's a huge, huge difference. Um, so how did that happen for you? How did you become that kind of father?
Well, so there was an emptiness is that's the best way I can explain it is
Okay.
when I was younger, there was an emptiness in me. So I, I was in a small town. If you, whatever sport you play, you kind of played them all because there was not a lot, and I wasn't good at many of them. And I just long for somebody to be there. I long for somebody to cheer me on. I long for somebody to call my name and say, "Hey, that's my boy," and I didn't
Mhm.
have that, and that affected me, and I, like I said earlier, I made a vow and I said I'm going to be that father that I never had, and we're in a small town. My dad, he at one point he lived across the street from my grandmother, and I could see him and he could see me, but there was no interaction. There was no, and I went to his mom, my mamaw, which I really loved her. I adored her. I'd go over there and spend the night. And my uncle, my dad's brother from, it's a half brother, but my uncle was only a couple years older. So he was almost like a cousin. We didn't call him uncle. He was like my cousin. And
Right.
we hung out with him. We had a good time. Saturday morning, we watched cartoons and we had he was almost like a father figure to me, I guess.
Okay.
He was there for me. My mom had she married a couple, she married another gentleman, and I had a brother. I have a half brother, and his dad kind of, took me under his wing, and
Wow.
I remember, the good times with him. He did buy me a bicycle, and that might be insignificant for most people, but it was
Mhm.
the world to me because that's the first time a father figure, a man, got me something and said,
Mhm.
"Here, this is yours. This is all yours." Just a
Wow.
simple thing as a bike, but the it didn't last long. The marriage didn't last long, and that was in Chicago. So I was, a couple years in Chicago when I was younger. We moved back to Texas, and just had that emptiness. When it was like my daughter at school, she has you have the day when you have open house. You
Mhm.
go and you see all their everything they've done and the art and everything and all that
Yep.
stuff. And we didn't go to that. I didn't have anybody to go to
Mhm.
that. There was that it was missing, and I wanted somebody to see, look, my painting is ugly, but look at it. It's just
Wow.
acknowledge me. And I just wanted somebody to acknowledge me. I just wanted somebody to say that, good job. Just a simple
Mm.
word. This is even before somebody says, I love you. I just wanted somebody to acknowledge me. Um, and, the teacher would say, "Hey, back then they didn't really send anything home with you. They
Right.
just said, hey, tonight's open house.
Wow.
Tonight is art. Tonight is this, tonight is that. And you would just tell your parents, now I don't miss anything. If they have something, I'm there, and we had spoke, before
Okay.
about the Watchdog program. It's DOGS. That's Dads of Great Students, and that's a program. Check it out. If you're a dad and you have children, check it out because it's a place where you can volunteer and you can be that male figure in the lives of the children. You don't correct them. You don't do anything. You're just there. They see you. You read to you help them read. You help them work on things. You're in small groups, and you're not a teacher. You're just a dad.
Mhm.
And then what we do is we check the perimeter. We go outside of the
Mhm.
school because you know what's going on with the schools these days,
Yeah.
and we'll check the perimeter of the school, make sure it's locked down. We'll come back in and we'll go to the next class. The teachers, they line your day out. The first
Oh, okay.
first class, you're with your child.
Mhm.
The second class, you're usually with your child. You eat with your child, and you have recess with your child. You
Hmm.
might even do PE, but then there's other classes you'll go to. Your child's not in that class, but they see you.
Mhm.
And the cool part is when they see you in public, these kids come
Yeah.
up to you. They're high-fiving you. They're
Wow.
like, my last name is Hulsey. "Oh, Mr. Hulsey, how you doing? Oh, that's Leah's dad. That's Leah's dad. He's the
Wow.
watchdog." And
Yeah.
you're like this little hero to the kids. And it gives them, they also open it up for a big brother, as long as they're over 18, an uncle,
Mm.
a
Wow.
stepdad. And it does make an impact on these kids. You can see the change in these kids. You can see the
Mhm.
impact that you're having on these kids, and I love that.
Mhm.
And I've done it. The two older kids, I didn't even know about it. It actually started in 1998, so it really
Okay.
wasn't there. Um, but the last three children I have, I've done it
Mm.
every year. And the funny thing is, they went to the same school, elementary school that my wife did,
Oh, okay.
50 years ago. Don't want to give her age away, but
Yeah, no, we wanna
uh,
age right.
yeah. So the school's still there; it's still thriving.
Wow.
So I think just that emptiness in me drove me to do that, and then somebody just not saying, "Hey, way to go, nice job," you know. Um, that's what it was, just, I just needed that, and then I promised, "Hey, I'm gonna do that for my kids. I'm gonna do that." And I do it to the strangers,
Yeah.
I tell my daughter, "If you smile at the world smiles back,"
Yeah.
So I teach my daughter and all my kids, if you, say what you want, like, if you see somebody and you like their outfit, their fingernail, their hair,
Yep.
say it. "Hey, I love your hair. I love your fingernail." Give them, I tell them that because when you smile at the world, it smiles back. And I say, if they give you a compliment, I said, don't just say something, but give them a true compliment back,
Mhm.
um, reciprocate that, and they see that. And people say, wow, you have great kids, and that's the
Yeah.
gets me right here.
Yeah, man.
When somebody really
Mhm.
says, "Hey, you have some great children, some awesome, well behaved," and I don't spoil them,
Mhm.
I mean, to a certain degree, of course.
Yeah.
But, um, but, they do their part. They do
Mhm.
their part. They're very respectful.
Mhm.
I feel that I raised them right. That's all we can do is just do our best. Um, and one thing that I really liked, just one thing I really liked that you had another podcast, and it
Mhm.
was about men, and it was three words
Hmm.
that we don't say.
Oh.
And guess what? I was like, "Oh, man, this is easy. This is easy." And it's a spoiler alert, okay? But,
Right.
if you don't mind,
No,
I
please.
was like, "Oh, the three words, it's 'I love you.' We don't say 'I love you.'" But you know what? That wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
And I kept watching, and I was like, "Oh, he's coming to it. It's going to
Yeah.
be, please forgive me." 3 words.
Wow.
And then he kept going, and I'm like, "What? That ain't it either." And then, when you said it, when you
Mm.
said it, it touched me.
Oh man.
And I thought about those people that helped
Mm.
me, and some aren't here anymore, and others
Mhm.
are. And I reached out to them. I sent them a text or a call,
Yeah.
and just said, "Hey, thank you." And I don't know if you want me to spoil it, or maybe some people
No,
uh,
please. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
will see it. But the
Yeah.
3 words, "I need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need help," and we don't
Mm.
ask that a lot.
No.
We don't. We don't.
Mm.
We don't. We're macho.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't need no help. What are you talking about?
Right.
No, we do. We do need help. Occasionally, we need help. And you know what? Occasionally, we're helpers too, and
Yes.
we have to. And we encourage those people to ask us for help as well. Um, because I realized when I was younger, I needed help, but I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know who to ask because I didn't have that person there.
I know.
And then they started coming into my life, whether it's a pastor, like you said,
Mhm.
that became a great friend to me, and just different family members. There wasn't a lot
Mhm.
there. I didn't have a lot of family members that were
Mhm.
positive, but there was other people out there that I did ask for help, you know, and they were right there. They helped me,
Mm.
and that's one thing that it doesn't hurt. You're not less of a man, less of a
Right.
person,
Right.
to reach out and say, "I need help." And I really love that one. It really impacted me. And thank you for sharing that,
Mhm.
because yeah, I was thinking, oh yeah, it's 3 words. "I love you." We don't say it enough.
Yeah.
We're so macho. We don't say "I love you" or
Yeah.
"Please forgive me." "Please forgive me" is a hard one to say too, because then what you're
Mhm.
saying is, "Hey, I was wrong. I did something.
Yep.
Um, I'm guilty. Please forgive me." But hey, I need help. That's a strong one too, and I
Mhm.
appreciate you for that one.
No, man. Wow. Yeah, that really blesses me, man. You never know who needs what. You never know what's gonna land, what's gonna stick. You just know that, or at least my philosophy is, if I need it, someone else needs it. If
Mhm.
it if it matters to me, then it probably matters to someone else. If I'm going through it, then probably someone else is going through it. And so you create and you put it out there, and you just want to contribute to to humanity's improvement, betterment, encouragement. Um, so that just means a lot to me that you remembered it. When someone remembers something, it's pretty powerful and it's pretty meaningful.
Mhm.
And one thing that I remember from you, which is really my next question, I have watched so many. I don't think I've seen many videos, maybe one or two videos, but I've certainly seen still shot photos and things that you've said or just posted between you and your daughter. And you have a precious daughter, by the way, just
Yeah,
beautiful,
thank you.
precious soul.
Thank you.
Every time I see her, she's like, she could light up the room, and not even
Mhm.
could, but I know that she does light up the room
Yes, man.
when,
Thank
when
you.
she smiles, man. And seeing your relationship with her and you letting us into that, um, and showing that example, being that example, is just such a beautiful thing. And I, I, I just wanted to ask you. It's one thing to do what you do in the privacy of your own home, in the privacy of your own life, and that would be more than sufficient, like
Mhm.
totally sufficient. You just being dad. being the husband, being the father, being the guy in the community, and just doing what you do. But you take the time to let us into it. You post. You don't have to, like, social media is a choice. And I've remembered moments and times when you would be in different places and you would just seem like you just kind of cut the camera on and you just spoke. And what I've admired about you over the years is that you don't wait until you're polished and perfect, and the lighting is well, and the audio is perfect, and you got it all together, and you've taken courses on public speaking. You're just sharing yourself and your life. What is it that you want others to know? If there's one thing you want that stranger to know, that person that's scrolling through Facebook and they just come across your post, like, what is it that you want others, the world, humanity, what is it that you want others to know, to understand, to be aware of? Because you're choosing to let us into something that's beautiful, and you don't have to do that, but you're choosing to do it. And I just wanted to know if you can just unpack that for us. What do you envision for the life of those that will come across your content?
Well, thank you, thank you. We're playing softball. You're just lobbing them up. I love that. I love it. Really, it's
Yeah.
authenticity. I don't want to go and like you said, I don't want to wait for the right time and the right light and then the polish and you go and edit and redo and let's do another take and all that. I just do it
Yeah.
because that's real, that's raw, that's real, and that's what life is. Social media, we see a lot of things, and it's we believe certain things, but that's really not real life.
Wow.
And if I want, what I say on there is I'm usually first talking to myself
Hmm.
because there's something in me that just clicked and it said, "Hey, you're not enough." And then I go and I say, "Hey, you are enough. You are awesome. You are
Yeah.
amazing. You're beautiful." And I'll say that on there, and I'm talking to myself, and then that next person, like you said. Um, it really inspires you that somebody would remember something that you did. And we're just we're talking to ourselves, but we're trying to help just one person,
Mm,
ourselves and one person, and pass it on and let that one person help one person. It
mm,
expands, right?
mm,
And with the kids, one thing is it's one thing to tell your kid, like my daughter, I say, "Hey,
mm,
just I want you to finish everything on your plate. Eat your vegetables. You got to do this." I I don't do that. What I do is say, one rule is you have to try everything. You have
mm.
to try everything. But then I'm like, "Hey, I'll eat all of my vegetables. I'll set the example."
Come on.
If I'm going to do something, I'm going to set the example for her
Mm,
first. I'm going to show her how to do it. I'm going to say, "Hey, let's do this together. Let's try this together." And I'll just set the example. And then sometimes she'll chime in and she wants to do. Let me do a little video, Dad. And she did one for the teachers. It was National Teachers Day, and
yeah.
and and we don't do a second take. We don't.
Mhm.
If there's one where she
Yeah.
gets on there and she's talking and she drops the camera or the phone. She's like, "Oops. Oh, there you are." And she starts talking again.
Yeah, man.
And it never crossed our mind to like, "Oh, let's redo that."
Wow.
That's real life.
Mhm.
And that's what we're experiencing is real life. And I don't want her to think that,
Mm,
she has to make anything up or say, do something that she
mm.
has to redo it because it's not good enough. You know,
Wow.
your best, you put your best effort. That's good enough for me. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. And when the people will criticize you and say, "Oh, look, you're not this or that," but
Yeah.
who are those people? They're maybe there's like a mirror,
Uh-huh.
in the reflection of the mirror. I tell my daughter, like, If you look in the mirror and your bow is out of whack or your hair is messed up or something, you don't change the mirror, you change yourself.
Yeah.
You really if you see something in somebody else that's lacking, it's really something that's within you. And then you have to address that first. Um,
Wow.
so I I try to teach by example. I really do. Everything that I do, I really try to show, do it by example.
Hmm. Wow, man. Wow, that's powerful. That's it is the simplicity that
Mhm.
I have seen over the years because I've been in this public speaking, this coaching, training
Yeah.
space
Mhm.
for 20 plus years. And boy, we can certainly complicate everything. And that simplicity of it's just if it's good enough for me, if it's good enough for you, it's good enough. That's not reality when we're putting on the show and we're doing different things. It's you've taken the complexity out of it, and that's something that I really admire about you because we've had those talks where you've talked about me having some of this technical stuff and all of this, and it has its purposes and it serves its purposes, but you've got the real gold, man. Like you've got the real gold, a genuine heart, a heart that's willing to share, a heart that's willing to say and show what others might call flaws or failures or imperfect, being imperfect is just an amazing quality that I see why when I speak to you and I see you, there's a genuine I don't know if it's joy or peace or calm, but it's not where it's being manufactured by something that's outstanding. And that's always been my heart for people to be okay within themselves and not be dependent on anything outside themselves to be genuinely okay. I mean, we all go through ups and downs. We all go through trauma and drama. We all life has got those things just baked into the that's just life. But I'm
Yes.
but I'm talking about that day to day when I can wake up and say I'm okay. It's I'm okay because I'm okay within myself. Can you share anything that you do? Because oftentimes when we do podcasts, people want to take away
Mhm.
things, right?
Yeah.
Tips and
Oh, yeah.
tricks and how to's and 3 steps to this and 3 steps to that. So as I'm thinking about how simple you've made it and how much I just admire the simplicity, I admire your genuine take, your ability to be imperfect and to be okay with being imperfect. Is there anything that you can share with the audience, those who are watching, those who are listening, if they're in their heart and mind saying, man, I want to be more like Mike. I want to be more like Michael. I never even asked you, do you prefer Michael or do you prefer Mike? Because I don't want to call you
Whatever you
anything
want to
that you don't
call me.
prefer. Okay, all right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to me. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
because you know how to in the black community, man, we are always trying to mess with somebody's name, man. So
Yeah.
so we always want to twist up somebody's name, shorten it, or give
Yeah.
you a nickname or something like that. But if you prefer Michael, I'll certainly call you Michael. Uh, but yeah, but if someone's listening and watching and they're saying, "Man, I want to be more like Mike." Right? I don't know if you remember back the old campaigns. I want to be like Mike. I
Yeah.
want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
like Mike. Right? Michael
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Somebody is watching right now. Someone's listening, and they want to be more like Mike. You, Mike. You. They want to be more like
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you do? Anything that you practice? Morning routines, nightly routines,
Mhm.
some kind of prayer that you pray, some sort of activity that you involve yourself in? Is there anything that you do that you say this contributes to the way I show up in the world that someone else might be able to replicate or they may be able to consider um, installing into their daily
Yeah.
routine?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you're asking like I said, the easy questions because
Yeah.
one thing is I mean, the whole goal is really to evolve, to continue to evolve, to be, become your best version of you. I'm sure people have said that before.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get just that little bit better each and every day. And I know you've spoke about planning your morning, and I've
Mhm.
done this for a long time. I used to wake up really early, like 3:30, 4:30,
Yeah.
because the guru said, "Hey, the earlier you wake
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
the more productive you are during the day."
Yeah.
Uh, but after, with my daughter, I have to wake up, and then there are certain things that I have to do, right?
Yeah.
I can't wake up and go for a run and, do little things like that where she's not here if my wife goes to work or I go to work. So one thing that I do, is when I do wake up, first, before I even get out of bed, I at least acknowledge 10 things that I'm grateful for. So,
Wow.
so I'll, this morning, one thing was you, I'm grateful
Mm.
for Trivial, uh,
Oh, man.
and for this podcast and for the opportunity to speak and for just us knowing each other and just the opportunity to share something with somebody that might impact their life.
Mhm.
That's the first thing. I'll at least do 10.
Wow.
And then I'll write down, I'll write as many as I can because, when you look around, you see we take for granted,
Mhm.
a lot of things. Um, when you're like, "Oh, man, look at my shoes. My shoes are I need new shoes." Some people don't even have feet.
Yeah.
So be thankful for your shoes, for your feet, for your socks. So, I mean, I just do like a little gratitude rampage, just
Mm.
I just speak it out and then I try to write it and I'll write it out. And then
Mhm.
I'll kind of plan out my day. I write in the journal every day. I use an example. So
Mm.
I write it and I ask my daughter when she gets up, "Where's your journal?" Write it twice a day. I don't force her to do it. I just suggest it. And then
Mm.
she sees me writing in mine, then she gets hers. And
Yeah.
she asked for her birthday. It was just May 26th. She
Mhm.
wanted a journal with a lock on it so
Oh,
she can do her private stuff
oh,
in there.
nice.
So she has her regular journal, then she has her little it's
Yeah.
kind of like a diary thing, whatever. And I respect
Mhm.
that. I'm not going to ever open it and read it
Right.
unless she asks me to.
Mhm.
She's 8 years old. What could she write in there that's bad, right? So that's one thing that I do.
Wow.
Of course, I'm a believer. I thank God. I'll sit there 5, 6, 10 minutes, depending on how long it is, and I'll just close
Mhm.
my eyes and I'll just thank God. I'll just thank you for
Mhm.
this, thank you for that. It's the same thing with gratitude. I'm grateful
Mhm.
for this. I'm grateful for that. But just thanking God, connecting,
Yes.
just thanking for from healthy, children, for my health,
Mhm.
for great eyesight. And I'll just go through the things that you never even think of. Like, hey,
Yeah.
thank you that I seen a blue jay today. It reminded me of my
Yeah.
grandma. Thank you for the cardinal, the red bird that, they're bringing joy to my life. And I'll just do that's really what I do in the morning.
Mhm.
I'm kind of far away from a gym, and then there's a lot of things going on. So I know you like to go early. You do a little run and gym and stuff. So the
Yeah.
days I'm off, I do a jog run.
Yeah.
I'm not an endurance runner,
Yeah.
although I say thank you God that I'm a marathon runner, even though I'm not. I always say that because I know that I'm old, right? I'm getting older, so I don't think I'm
No
going to
doubt.
run one, but when I thank God that I am one, He'll give me the strength to at least do
Mhm.
3 miles.
That's right.
Um, and then so I'll do, I'll do 2, 3, 4 miles, whatever I feel like. Come back in and
Mhm.
just love on my family.
Yeah.
If I'm going to work, then
Mm.
I do all that except for the run. I'll go on to work. Sometimes I'll run when I get home, but I
Yeah.
do a little exercise, but I do more mental exercise,
Okay.
spiritual exercise than I do physical. But
Yeah.
I think when I do the spiritual, he gives me the physical, right?
Mhm.
He makes me healthy. He keeps me healthy.
Yeah.
I really do believe that
Mhm.
if I just thank him for all the things I have, more things will come, and I
Mhm.
just don't take them for granted because it's easy to take. things
Yeah.
for granted. I mean, I'm on a podcast with you.
Mm,
What more could I ask for?
yeah.
Um, I have a roof over my head here. I have beautiful wife and children, a phone that I can communicate with you.
That's right.
Um, you know, so there's just so many things to be thankful for, and that's
Mhm.
really my routine. I do it every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
I'll write in my journal 7 days a week. I'll do a gratitude, I have an attitude of gratitude, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
I'll write them down, and sometimes I'll do like a whole week.
Mhm,
And in the morning, I'll write 10 things, and in
mhm,
the evening, I'll write 10 things. And
mhm.
then the next day, the second day, I'll write 20 and 20, all the way to the
Ooh,
seventh day, I'll write 70 and 70. And if you
wow,
think you can't think of 70 things,
wow.
you can if you really, really dig deep. And when you start digging deep and you start looking around at what you have opposed to what other people have,
Mhm.
um, then it does have an impact on you. You really, it'll change you. It'll change you if you work your way up for
Yeah.
7 days and you do 10 in the morning, 10 at night. When you get to day 4, you're gonna be searching, and then it's like the reticular activating system in your mind. You're starting
Mhm.
to look for things that you're thankful for,
Yeah.
and and then it makes a difference. Believe me, it does make a difference.
Wow, man. Wow. No, that's super powerful, man. You got into a little psychology there, man. That
Yeah.
that you're I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, that quote, that we don't rise to the occasion, but we fall to the level of our training.
Mhm.
And sometimes people don't understand what that's referring to, but it's referring to the training of the mind, is referring to the
Oh, yeah.
training of the nervous system.
Mhm.
And what you just explained was so powerful. You've been training, and I don't know if you're aware of it. Sounds like you are aware of it, but you're literally training a greater awareness around gratitude. And whatever we train, right? We talked about running
Mhm.
and going to the
Yeah.
gym, and it's like whatever we train gets stronger, right? Just like a muscle growing, you're training it, you're putting in your reps, you're going from 10 up to 70. Man, that's powerful, man. And again, you simplified the process, right? It's such a simple process, but yet it's so powerful. And I think for me, that's the takeaway, because I'm a person who sees how certain industries, because I'm a part of them, how they
Mhm.
complicate things to keep the carrot dangling in front of you, and you never arrive, you never achieve where
Mhm.
you want to go, because
Right.
they're always adding on a complexity, right? It's up, you got these three things done. Okay, now you need these three. Okay, you got those three done. Now three more. Okay, you got
One.
those done. And what I'm hearing you explain is that there is something that we can do on a very simple level that can prime us to have a very productive day, a productive outlook, a perspective that works for us and not against us. um, there's a lot of meat on that bone,
Mhm.
man. So I
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you for sharing that very practical but powerful practice. And it is a principle, right? The attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
You train your attitude. So that's just amazing, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's something. I mean, I literally just, well, you can't see it over here, but in this little cabinet, I've got my journals, and I literally just went to the store yesterday to buy another journal because I reached the final page of another one. And my
Filled up.
daughter,
Yeah.
yeah, and my daughter and I, we've got this little kind of running joke where
Mhm.
whenever we buy a journal, we'll show each other like, "Yep, got another one, got another one, got another." Because we
Mhm.
literally write every single page out. But I'm just doing that for various reasons. It's not a training routine, and
Mhm.
maybe I'm benefiting from just getting things out. But what you just shared is something that I certainly want to put to practice, man. I want to
Mhm.
try that out myself and just
Mhm.
see how that goes for me, and just see how that works for me. Yeah, so that's extremely valuable. Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, we're starting to get around that time, we want to start wrapping it up, man. Time flies.
It does. It does.
When you're enjoying yourself. I
Yes,
have
sir.
enjoyed this, and man, we might need to make a part 2, part 3 or something, because conversations
Yes,
with
sir.
Mike or something, man. I don't know. We might have to create something here, because I really
All right.
enjoy spending this time with you. I enjoy your presence, even though it's virtual. But as we wrap it up, man, can you share? I always ask this question of every guest. Want you to paint this picture in your mind. You got a microphone, and that microphone is attached to a sound system, and that sound system is a global sound system, which means anything you say in this mic, no one has a choice. It's going to be heard globally. Wherever there is a human being breathing, they're going to hear your words. It's just like a loudspeaker that just goes out and just, it's in the atmosphere, and no one gets to say, I don't want to hear that. Nope. No chance, no option. You will hear what Mike has to say. If that mic was put in front of you right now and you knew that you had one shot to say something that everyone would hear, what would it be?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share it. That's a good one. That's a little bit harder question there, because you really want to make an impact. But I think I would say that you are loved. You are enough. You are blessed beyond measure. You do count. You mean something. You're special to someone. All those things is talking to them, talking to their heart, talking to what they feel that they're not enough. And I just want to say they are enough. You are enough. You are loved. There's someone that loves you. There's someone that is that that's out there for you. Um, you could, I mean, I know there's children that are born and they're left in a trash can, and it's sad to hear that and see that. But there's somebody for them. Somebody does love them. They are enough. They're they're more powerful than they can believe, because they're alive and they persevered, and God is watching out for them, and God will connect them to that one person that does love them, because sometimes we're protected. We think, oh man, look what happened to me. No, God protected you from what was going to happen, and it changed your life to something better. Look at my life. For so long I said, woe is me. I was the victim. I didn't have this. I didn't have that, until I made the mental shift and said, you know what? I didn't have it, but I'm going to give it, you know. I didn't have that. I missed that. I wanted that, but I got to stop whining about it. And I got to show up and be what I wanted at that time, what I missed out on. And that's what I hopefully have instilled in my children, that they had a dad that cared. They had a dad that was there for them. And like I said, my son is 35 years old. My daughter's 33 right now. I have a 22-year-old. I have an 18-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they know they can depend on me no matter what it is. I'm here for them. They mean the world to me, and that's basically, if I was talking to someone, they're loved, they're enough, they're worthy. Um, somebody is there that cares about them.
Said beautifully, man. Said beautifully. Well, I won't do you like many have done me. Not going to add to that. What you said is enough. So I just want to thank you, Mike, for the last few minutes that we've spent together. This moment is precious. Um, for me, it has been a blessing, a well invested portion of my life, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you allowing me to have this conversation. Grateful for you showing up today, not knowing a whole bunch about podcasting, but saying, so what? Not knowing what questions I would ask you because I wouldn't give them to you beforehand. And you said, so what? To me, it means that you care so much, man, that you refuse to let all of these little technical things and these little not knowings get in the way. So I truly thank you and truly honor you and celebrate you as a father, as a man, as a humanitarian, as God's image and extension. Um, Thank you, man. Thank you so much. My prayer is that this moment is expressed as far and as wide as God would have it to be.
Thank you.
I'm going to do all I can to ensure that it gets as far a reach as possible. And you know how we believe, man. We do our part, God's going to do the rest.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know? So we're good to go with that, man. So yeah, man. I just again want to thank you and say how much I truly value you. Truly
Well,
value you.
thank you.
It's just an amazing thing that we can meet someone miles away, hundreds, thousands of miles away, and be able to have a moment like this. In closing, if you just want to take another minute or two, if there's just anything else that you want to share, that you just want to make sure that you got, said as a part of this episode, and then we'll just wrap it up from there, man. But just want to let your voice be the last voice that's heard.
Well, thank you. I mean, of course, I was anxious, but I was very excited and I was very thankful that I had the opportunity that you would even consider me and ask
Mm,
me. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you and what you're doing, and you're impacting people, whether they know it or not. They run across you and they see that, but they're going to
mm,
remember something, just like I remembered your podcast. And you got great content all the way
mm.
across, multiple things. I wished I lived closer,
Yeah.
I'd buy you a cup of coffee or dinner or something, lunch, or hang out with you for a minute. I
Yeah.
really do appreciate that. And
Mm,
and one thing I would say is, I challenge people to do a little gratitude journal and do that for 7 days. You'll be thinking of me on day 4 in the evening, and I encourage you not to repeat the same thing twice.
mm,
And that's where it's gonna get difficult, but it's uh, it's freeing. It's freeing. It frees you because then you start digging deep within inside you, and then you realize what is all around you that you've been taking for granted.
mm,
And you know
mm.
this this phone stand. I'm grateful for the phone stand. It's holding my phone up because
Yeah.
I'd have to hold it with my hand or
Mm,
lean it against something. So I'm
yeah.
grateful for this light and electricity and this chair and this desk, and you can
Mm,
just go on and on and on, and you'll realize that after you do it for 7 days and you do it every day, 10 things a day is easy. Once you do it for 7 days, then it opens up a whole new world, and you're like, oh wow, uh, you know. It'll change your life. That
mm,
simplest little thing. And thank you again. I
mm.
appreciate you. It felt like 5 minutes.
Yep.
I know it's probably longer. It felt like 5 minutes, and hopefully I was looking at the camera because there's me and then there's you. So
Right. Yeah. No, you're fine. Yep.
so my head's going around back and forth. But thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with, and looking forward to watching it and see how you do your thing.
Cool.
Mhm. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. For more information, visit me at iamthepossible.com.